The smoke was thick, the ground was black. Fires still burned in broken machines. The war was over. But the silence was louder than bombs. She lay there, half buried in ash. Her name was Vela, an elite alien warrior. Her armor was once strong, and shining now it was cracked, burned, and covered in blood. Her legs, they were gone. She tried to move, but pain shot through her body. She screamed. It echoed across the empty battlefield, but no one came. She was alone. Vela looked around. Bodies of her people were everywhere. The fight had been brutal. The humans had been stronger, faster, more clever than expected. Her unit had fallen one by one. In the end, they ran. Left her behind, not a single one turned back. She cursed them. She was a warrior. She had given everything. And now, they treated her like trash. Like she didn't matter anymore. She dragged herself forward, inch by inch. Her blood left a trail in the dirt. The pain was sharp, but she didn't stop. She wouldn't die here, not like this. Then she heard something. Footsteps. She froze. Someone was coming. Heavy boots, slow, careful. Her heart pounded. She reached for her weapon, but it was broken. Her hands shook. Her vision blurred. From the key smoke, a figure appeared, a human. He wore dark, heavy armor, scratched and covered in dirt. A rifle was slung across his back. His eyes scanned the area. When he saw her, he stopped. They stared at each other. She growled, weak but angry. "Do it. Finish me." He didn't move. "Kill me," she shouted. Her voice cracked. Still, he didn't. "Shoot, instead." He dropped to one knee beside her. Vela blinked, confused. Was this some kind of trick? The human reached into his pack. He pulled out a small bottle water and held it to her lips. She turned her face away. "Why are you helping me?" "You're hurt," he said calmly. "Badly. I'm your enemy." He looked at her leg. "Not anymore." She wanted to scream at him, curse him, push him away. But she was too weak, too tired. So she drank. The water was cold, clean. It burned her dry throat. She almost cried. He began cleaning the wound on her leg, gently, carefully. She watched him. "Your people killed mine," she said. He didn't stop. "And yours killed mine. Then why save me?" He looked into her eyes. "Because no one deserves to die alone." Something twisted in her chest. She had never heard words like that, not from a human. Not even from her own kind. The pain came again, strong and sudden. She gasped. Her body trembled. "I need to get you out of here," he said. "But I can't." "Do it alone. You have to trust me." She almost laughed. Trust a human? It was madness. But what choice did she have? She nodded just once. The human smiled, just a little. "I'm Sergeant Raylan," he said. "Vela," she whispered. "Okay. Vela, let's get you out of here." He stood up and looked around. The battlefield was still. But it wasn't safe. Wild beasts came to feed after battles. Other soldiers might return. Time was running out. Raylan found pieces of broken armor and wreckage. He used straps and wires to build a makeshift stretcher. He worked fast, sweat running down his face. Vela watched in silence. Her people would have left a human to die. She had seen it many times, but this one. He stayed. When the stretcher was ready, he gently lifted her onto it. She groaned in pain but didn't scream. He pulled the straps tight and began dragging her across the broken ground, step by step. The weight was heavy. His arms ached. But he didn't stop. Vela looked up at the gray sky. Smoke still floated above them. She didn't know where they were going. She didn't even know if she would survive. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She wasn't alone, and that gave her hope. The sun was rising behind the dust. Orange light cut through the smoke like a blade. Every step he took dragged the stretcher behind him. The alien woman Vela lay silent, her green skin pale, her breath shallow. Sergeant Raylan's hands were raw. His arms burned from pulling her across the rocky wasteland. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. She had passed out twice already. The heat was killing her. So was the wound. Her leg was blackened, wrapped in a piece of his own undershirt. It was the best he could do. They reached a broken transport shell half buried in the dirt, still smoking. He pulled her inside. It wasn't safe, but it was shade. Vela opened her eyes. Her voice was dry, weak. "You're still here." Raylan gave her water. She drank a little, her lips trembling. Her body was shaking again. "Why?" she whispered. "Why what?" he asked, sitting beside her, wiping blood from her chin. She stared into his eyes, her expression cold and confused. "Why didn't you kill me?" Raylan didn't answer right away. He looked outside, scanning the horizon. Nothing but wreckage and broken silence. Finally he said, "Because that's not who I am." Her eyes narrowed. "Liar." Raylan turned back to her, calm. "You think I haven't killed? I have in battle, in chaos. But not like this." She looked at him long and hard. "You should have left me. I'm nothing now." Raylan frowned. "That's not true." Vela barked a bitter laugh. "My legs are gone. My squad left me. I am broken." He leaned forward. "You're alive. That means you still matter." Something in his voice made her quiet. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not her leaders, not her comrades, not even her blood family. For a moment, her hard warrior shell cracked. "Where are we going?" she asked. Raylan glanced at a device on his wrist. "There's an old outpost, about 5 miles north. I don't know if it still works, but it's our best chance." She closed her eyes. "Why do you say our?" "Because I'm not leaving you," he said. "You don't even know me." "I don't need to," he replied. "I saw someone hurt, and I helped. That's enough." She looked away, but her voice was softer now. "Humans are strange," Raylan chuckled. "So I've been told." He checked her leg again. Infection was spreading. Her breathing was shallow. She didn't have much time. Raylan stood, his body aching. "We need to move soon." "I'll only slow you down," she said. "You'll die because of me. Then I die helping someone who didn't deserve to be left behind." Her eyes filled with something she didn't understand. Was it guilt? Was it respect? She tried to speak, but the words were caught in her throat. All she could do was nod. He smiled. Then they heard it, a sound in the distance. Something was moving in the wind, not machines, not humans. Something else. Raylan froze. So did she. Her warrior instincts kicked in. "Something's tracking us." Raylan grabbed his rifle. "Then we better keep moving." He bent down, tightened the straps of the stretcher, and began dragging her again, faster this time. The desert wind howled. The sound behind them grew louder. And for the first time in her life, the alien warrior wasn't afraid of the enemy behind her, but of what would happen if this human gave up on her. And somehow, she knew he wouldn't. The ground was hot. The air smelled like metal and smoke. The sky above was a dirty mix of orange and gray. Raylan's back screamed in pain. His legs were shaking. But he kept moving. The stretcher behind him dragged across the cracked desert floor, carrying the wounded alien warrior Vela. She didn't speak. Her eyes stayed half closed. The fever had taken hold. Her green skin looked dull now, her breathing slow and shallow. Raylan looked back at her again. Still breathing. That was enough to keep going. They passed twisted metal, broken helmets, and weapons buried in sand. The battlefield stretched far. No water, no shelter, no life. Just 2 enemies who were no longer enemies. He spoke to her, even if she barely heard. "Back on Earth," he said, "we used to have deserts like this. Big ones, heat like fire. My brother once passed out during training. I had to carry him 5 miles. She blinked slowly. He smiled. You're heavier than he was. He joked. For a second, just a second, she gave a weak smile back. Then her body shivered again. She winced in pain. The infection was spreading. Raylan stopped. He knelt beside her, took out a small tube of burn gel. He rubbed it onto her ruined leg, gently. She hissed but didn't pull away. You're going to make it, he whispered. I didn't drag you this far to lose you now. She looked at him with tired eyes. Why do you care so much? Raylan paused. I don't know, he said, but when I saw you lying there, forgotten. Something inside me said, don't. Walk away. Vela closed her eyes again. The wind picked up. Dust flew across the desert. A low growl echoed in the distance. Raylan looked up. Something was following them. Shadows moved on the ridge behind them. 4 legs, low to the ground. Sharp, fast. Desert stalkers. He stood up, rifle in hand, watching the hill. Nothing moved. Then a howl. Close. Too close. We need to go, he said. Vela's eyes opened. They're hunting. They smell my blood. Raylan didn't argue. He grabbed the stretcher again and started pulling this time. Faster. Every step was harder now. His legs burned. His mouth was dry. But fear pushed him forward. Behind them, claws scratched rock. Growls grew louder. He didn't look back. A broken wall appeared in the distance, half buried, covered in sand. Maybe a bunker? He pulled harder. Closer. The growls were right behind now. Then a loud shriek. He turned and saw glowing yellow eyes coming fast through the smoke. He pulled Vela behind the wall just as the first beast jumped. Bang. His rifle fired. The creature fell, twitching. 2 more ran toward him. Vela, still weak, raised her hand. A small energy pulse shot from her wrist guard. One of the beasts flew back, screaming. Raylan shot the last one. Breathing hard. Silence returned. The 2 of them lay there. Blood, dust, and fear all around. Raylan looked at her. Still think you're nothing? She looked back. Still think I'm the enemy? He laughed softly. No, not anymore. She smiled again, a little more real this time. Thank you. Human, she said. He sat beside her, guarding the broken shelter with his rifle ready. The sun was fading. The wasteland was long. But they weren't alone anymore. And that meant everything. The sun dropped fast behind the broken cliffs. Night came like a dark wave, silent, cold, and full of danger. The small shelter Raylan had found was no more than a broken chunk of wall from an old outpost. Half buried, full of cracks. But it was better than open desert. He had dragged Vela inside hours ago. Now he sat near her, back to the wall, holding his rifle. The stars above looked strange, alien, like watching the sky drawn by someone who had never seen Earth. Vela groaned. He turned fast. Her body shook. Her fever was rising. Her face was pale green, now too pale. The infection was spreading fast. Raylan opened a tiny metal box from his pack. Inside was a single injector, human-made, a strong combat serum. He stared at it. It could save her, or kill her. He had no idea how alien biology would react, but if he did nothing, she'd die by morning. He wiped sweat from his face, then leaned over her. Hey, he whispered, you're burning up. Her eyes fluttered open. Her lips were cracked. I can't feel my hands. That's shock, he said gently. Your body's losing the fight. She gave a weak smile. Then let me go. You've done enough. No, he said sharply. We've come too far. He held up the injector. This might help. She blinked. Human tech? Yeah, it boosts healing. Keeps soldiers alive in the field. She laughed softly, even in pain. You'd risk that on me? I already. He said. Her hand trembled as she reached for his wrist. Do it. He nodded once. He pressed the injector to her neck and fired. She gasped. Her body arched. Her eyes flew open wide. Then Silence. Raylan grabbed her hand. Vela, talk to me. No answer. Then suddenly, her fingers twitched. Her chest rose. Her breathing grew steady. Raylan sighed, shaking. She's alive. He whispered to himself. But the danger wasn't over. From outside came a noise. Crunch. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. He looked through the crack in the wall. Shapes moved in the dark. Tall. Thin figures with glowing eyes. Not beasts. Scavengers. They walked slowly, scanning the wreckage. One had a scanner in his hand. Another dragged a metal spear. They weren't soldiers, they were looters. Hunters of the dead. If they saw Vela alive, they'd take her. Sell her. Raylan turned off the small light. He covered her with a dirty cloth. His rifle stayed ready. The footsteps came closer. He held his breath. One of them stopped just outside the broken wall. They whispered something in a strange tongue. Then silence. Raylan's finger rested on the trigger, but then the sound faded. The scavengers moved on. He waited 10 full minutes before breathing again. Then he looked down. Vela's eyes were open. She had seen everything. I thought we were done, she whispered. Not tonight, he said softly. You stayed. He looked at her seriously. I told you, I don't leave people behind. She nodded slowly. Her voice was stronger now. Think, I believe you. Outside the cold wind howled. The stars above blinked quietly. Inside, the two of them lay side by side, one human, one alien, both broken, both alive, and in that dark, dangerous night, something new was born. Trust. The desert was still dark when Raylan opened his eyes. He hadn't really slept. The rifle still rested across his lap. His ears stayed alert. But nothing moved now. No growls, no scavengers, no death sounds in the wind. Just breathing. 2 sets. And hers. Vela was sleeping beside him, wrapped in a torn cloak he had given her. Her fever had broken during the night. Her skin was no longer cold. Her chest rose steady. Her body still weak but alive. Raylan leaned back, head against the wall. His own strength was slipping. He hadn't eaten. His water was nearly gone. His muscles ached from carrying her for miles, and his mind was starting to blur. But then her voice broke the silence, soft. Raylan? He turned quickly. She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. You didn't sleep, she said. He shook his head. Didn't want to miss anything crawling toward us. She gave a small smile. You're a terrible liar. He grinned. I try. She looked out the crack in the wall. The horizon was beginning to glow pink. Morning was close. Will we make it to your outpost? She asked. He didn't answer right away. I don't know, he finally said. It's still far, and I'm running on empty. She studied his face. You used the last of your serum on me, she said. Raylan nodded, and still gave me food, water, cover. Another nod. She whispered. You could have left me, and maybe you'd be safe by now. He looked at her, calm, steady. And if I had? He asked. I'd still hear your voice in my head. I'd wonder if you died. Scared, alone. She was silent for a long time. Then she reached out, her fingers brushing his hand. Back in my culture, she said, if someone stays by your side until death, it means they're no longer just a comrade. They're your soul bond. Raylan blinked. Soul bond? She nodded. It's rare, sacred. Some aliens bond in blood, some in battle. But only once in a lifetime, someone bonds in mercy. He looked down at her hand still touching his. You don't even know me, he whispered. But I know what you did, she replied. The wind picked up outside, sharp and cold. Raylan stood and packed up the stretcher again. I don't plan on dying, he said with a grin. Let's finish this. He helped her back onto the stretcher. She didn't fight it this time. She just watched him, quietly. As he pulled her across the red sand, she spoke again. If we die out here. Raylan stopped and looked down at her. At least I died beside you, she finished. He looked into her alien eyes, so different, so full of strength. No one's dying today, he said, but the truth was, something in him had already changed. This mission was no longer survival. It was hope. And they were carrying it together through fire, dust, and death. Raylan's hands were trembling now. He couldn't tell if it was from exhaustion or fear. The sun was directly above them, burning like fire. The wind had stopped. Even the shadows were still. Vela lay on the stretcher, her eyes half closed, her voice almost gone. How much farther? She whispered. Raylan didn't answer right away. He was too focused on the structure in the distance, broken, rusted. Leaning sideways but still standing. An old comms relay. Human dash made. Abandoned. But maybe not dead. He reached it minutes later, panting hard, dragging the last of his strength. He lowered Vela beside the base, then climbed into the shell of the tower. Inside, everything smelled like metal and dust. Screens were cracked, panels were melted, but one console still had power. He stared at it like it was a miracle. His fingers moved fast, tapping in old codes. It flickered, beeped, and then a green light blinked once. Signal channel open. Raylan spoke clearly, his voice shaking. This is Sergeant Raylan Cord, ID 7811, requesting emergency evac. I have one critical alien survivor. Both of us are wounded. Coordinates locked. If anyone hears this, please respond. We don't have long. He hit send. The message flew into the sky upward, through thick clouds and broken signals. A small, single voice screaming for help in a dead sky. Then silence. He waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. VAEL. Single up at him from below. No answer. He shook his head slowly. We may be too deep, or maybe no one's listening. She didn't speak. Her hand rested gently on her stomach. Her body was failing again. Raylan sat beside her, wiping sweat from his face. Do you regret it? She asked suddenly. He looked at her. Regret what? Saving me. He didn't speak right away. Then quietly, no. She turned her head toward him. Even if we die out here? He nodded once. Even then. A loud crack interrupted the silence. Raylan jumped to his feet. Rifle up. A ship. Low. Fast. Coming straight toward them. It wasn't military. It was old. Ugly. A scavenger ship. It landed hard, kicking up a storm of dust. 3 figures stepped out. Long coats. Big guns. Sharp eyes. Scavengers. Raylan stepped forward. Standing between them and Vela, one of them tall, with a cyber eye, looked her over and laughed. She's broken, he said. Why waste a ride on trash? Raylan's voice was ice. She's with me, another scavenger sneered. We don't rescue aliens. You will now, Raylan replied, raising his weapon. A moment of silence. Then the leader raised his hands. All right. We'll take you both for a price. Raylan lowered his rifle slightly. How much? The man smiled. Everything you have. Raylan looked down at Vela. Her hand found his again. She shook her head. No, she whispered. Don't do it. I'm not worth it. He squeezed her hand. You are to me. He gave them everything, his last rations, his knife, even the old metal pinned inside his jacket. The scavengers loaded them onto the ship. As the engines roared to life, Raylan looked down at the tower shrinking below them. That single call sent into the sky. Without hope changed everything, because someone did answer, and now, maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. The ship was quiet as it flew through the clouds. Raylan sat beside Vela, holding her hand. Her skin was cold again. Her breath was shallow. The serum had bought time, but not much. She needed real care. Soon. One of the scavengers came back, chewing dried food. Medi station's 2 hours out, he said. If she dies before then, I'm not refunding your junk. Raylan didn't answer. He just looked down at her face covered in sweat, lips trembling. She's not dying, he whispered. He had no strength left, no gear, no food, no promises, but he had her, and that was all that mattered now. 2 weeks later, white lights, cool air, beeping monitors. Vela blinked her eyes open slowly. Everything was quiet. Her body felt strange, numb and heavy. She tried to move and gasped out her legs. They were there, but not the ones she had before. Slim, smooth, metallic, cybernetic. She stared at them in shock. They hummed softly with power. Sleek design, alien tech mixed with human parts. Beautiful. And strong. Still getting used to them? She turned her head. Raylan stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame, arms crossed. Bandages on his cheek. Eyes tired but warm. She sat up slowly, shaky. "You stayed," she whispered. He stepped inside and pulled up a chair. "Of course." "You should have gone home," she said. He shrugged. "Didn't feel right leaving without you." Silence fell between them. Then Vela looked at him. "I've never owed anyone my life before." He smiled. "Then don't call it a debt. Call it a beginning." She looked down at her new legs, flexed her fingers, moved her foot, slowly. She stood. Raylan stood with her, just in case, but she didn't fall. For the first time since the war, she walked in beside her. Was the only one who never left. Later, outside the med station, they watched the ships come and go. Raylan leaned against a post, arms folded. "So what now?" Vela looked up at the stars. "My people left. Me to die," she said. "Yours don't trust me." He nodded. "Yeah, I've noticed." She turned to him. "Then maybe we don't need either of them." He raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting something, soldier?" She stepped closer, her new legs clicking softly. "I'm saying, I don't want to walk this new life alone." He grinned. "Good, because I'm not done watching your back." They stood there side by side, enemies no more, survivors forever. And as the wind passed through the station's gates, a voice crackled on the loudspeaker. "Incoming request. 2-person team for Outer Territory Rescue Ops. Dangerous, unpaid, volunteers only." Raylan looked at her. Vela looked at him. He said, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" She smiled. "Let's do it, together." Because, in the end, it wasn't the war that defined them. It was the choice to stay. To save. To walk forward together.